what you're getting at is a framework that we have called the power of polarity. If you want to create power, if you want to create draw or appeal, which is power, you have to polarize. You have to stand for something. Because if you don't stand for something, nobody really knows what you believe in. So you have to polarize. So to your point, there's lots of people on LinkedIn, there's lots of people on Facebook, on Twitter, or whatever, who are out there screaming something. They're making a point, and they're being drowned out by all the other people who are out there making a point.
Piers Morgan, Elon Musk,
Those are people who already have influence.
Okay, but it's part of how, well, like in the case of Piers Morgan, part of how he's got his influence is by
being polarity,
standing for
polarizing.
something and not being scared of the fact that people are going to tell him that they don't like him.
Even better, I want people to tell me that they don't like me. That's even better, because what happens is when you drive polarity, when you drive polar response, you create enemies, but you also create friends. And what do friends do when enemies attack? They defend, right? So when you stand for something, even if only a small group of people agree with you, they still defend you, they still support you, they still invest in you. That means they're moving from that avoidance, competition, compliance phase into know, like, trust. And then when they defend you, they can't help but fall into trust, because what are they defending? They're putting energy in defending you. So they're going to trust you even more. And when that group of people trusts you and other non-competitive people, other observers watch that some people are attacking you and other people are defending you, it makes them feel like they have to choose between attacking you or defending you.
Is there a way to stand for something correctly? And is there a way to badly stand for something? And I say this because as you were speaking, I was thinking about my friend. My friend is really, really bad at LinkedIn. And he comes to LinkedIn with like very inconsistent takes on the world. I'm going to give you an example. For many years, he's had a narrative about alcohol being bad, and he's been sober. But then the World Cup came around, and he posted on LinkedIn, the World Cup was in the Middle East, that the Middle East should allow people to binge drink, and posting against the sort of religious perspective that says alcohol is bad. So he was like, people should be allowed to binge drink if they want in the Middle East. But then his other perspective has always been that alcohol is bad. Yeah. And like, why do people binge drink? And so the inconsistency has really fucked him up, I think.
Well, that's showing why he probably also doesn't have much influence, because people don't know where he stands. So there's nothing to stand, like somebody who rallies behind him. Like, it sounds like when you were telling the story, to a certain extent, you were like proud of him when he was like,
originally, yeah, when he was clear what he stood for. But it's every day is a different take. I'm like,
and that's what costs you your influence. So he diminished his own power by not demonstrating polarity. He should have just stood a ground, even if the ground isn't popular, even if it's not popular or positive. If you stay in one place and you drive a clear polar message or a polarizing message, some people will rally behind you, some people will attack you. Either way, you benefit from it. This is one of the things I love about YouTube. I'm sure you've discovered this too. For anybody out there who's trying to make money on YouTube or grow an audience on YouTube or do anything with YouTube, needs to understand the best comments are oftentimes the worst comments. Because somebody chimes in and talks shit about something, it only instigates more people to come in and leave a comment. And guess what YouTube wants? Comments. They just want engagement, because engagement means people are on the platform. When there's a split between thumbs up and thumbs down, it means there's polarizing content, which means even more people are going to stay on the platform, so they spread it even further and wider. Right? So you can't be afraid of being polarizing. You have to lean into being polarizing. The way we use it at CIA is when you're talking to a spy, when you're talking to somebody and you want them to commit treason against their country, you have to be able to ask a polarizing question to find out whether or not they're going to hint that they would be traitors or whether they are staunch supporters and nationalists. But you have to test that barrier if you're ever going to actually develop the kind of relationship, the kind of power to convince them to commit treason.
It made me think about brands as well, because, there's a lot of brands out there that have done really, really well by standing for something, by being polarizing. Okay, and it was Jane Waring on my podcast that talked about her brand Dermalogica, and she said to me, you have to be willing to piss off the 80% to get your 20%. She goes, you don't need people to like you. She goes, that's not a brand. You need them to love you or hate you. She goes, that's a brand.
It's genius. It's absolutely correct. She is talking about polarizing. She's talking about that know, like, trust process and getting people to go beyond like into love you or hate you. If they love you or hate you, then they are in the trust side of the know, like, trust process. They either trust what you say or they trust that they're going to hate what you say. But either way, they're in the trust part of know, like, trust.
So fresh on me. Freedom!